It's a cold, wet and windy winter's morning in southern England, so why would several hundred people leave the comfort of their own homes to brave the elements? Well, maybe this gives us a clue. We assembled in Folkestone yesterday, the 14th of December 2019, to greet the arrival of the Last Overland expedition back into the UK. Now, for those of you who don't know the story, the Last Overland expedition sought to recreate what had been achieved on the first Overland expedition in 1955 to 56, when a group of 6 young graduates from Oxford and Cambridge took 2 Series 1 Land Rovers and drove them from London to Singapore. And this had never been done before. If you want to know more, there's some good videos about this on YouTube, or indeed you can read the book First Overland, written by Tim Slessor, who was one of the team members. Now, the recent part of this story goes back a few years when one of the original vehicles, which had been christened Oxford, was discovered on Ascension Island being used as a chicken coop. And an enterprising guy called Alan Bennett went out there, acquired the vehicle, brought it back to the UK and had it mechanically restored. Now, the plan was to recreate the first Overland expedition, albeit this time driving from Singapore back to London. And the expedition was going to consist of the vehicle Oxford and 2 modern Land Rovers with a supporting team. Now, Tim Slessor was going to be part of the expedition, but he decided that maybe it's a little bit arduous for a gentleman of his age, and his place was taken by his grandson. We've got a pretty good turnout of some fairly interesting and indeed iconic Land Rovers. We're all awaiting the big moment of the arrival, and she seems to have a good viewpoint, doesn't she? This young lady here is taking a keen interest in the Series 1, and who knows, she could be a future Land Rover owner. Now, this Series 1 looks very much like the original Oxford vehicle, complete with the dark blue livery, but I'm afraid to say it's just a look-alike. And here they are, after 19,000 kilometres on the road. I'll stop the video here, and you'll see that we've got a new Defender which forms part of the procession, painted in the Oxford and Cambridge colours. It didn't, of course, make the trip. It may be heresy to say it, but I think if I was doing this trip, I'd prefer the Series Land Rover to the new Defender. For me, the new Defender is simply too complicated and too difficult to fix, and you are going to get problems on a very long overland journey like this. And here's the other vehicle which made the expedition, the Defender TD5 of Larry Leung. Both he and the vehicle have done it 3 times, and they're becoming true legends. And this really is the moment of arrival when you can turn off the engine and climb out of the vehicle, complete with sea spray. Welcome to Britain. We now come to the closing speeches, which I will show unedited. I'm sorry about the poor sound quality, but the conditions weren't very good. Firstly, we have Alex Bescaby, the expedition leader.
Belgium, but I was secretly hoping that we might get blown out of the water, quite literally, here in the home of Land Rover in the UK. I'm so grateful for you all coming down in the middle of winter to stand out on the edge of the English Channel. The English Channel, my French friends. Just to be here, really quite emotional. There were some tears when we stepped out of the car. We're so grateful. I mean, I think there's people who come from the Netherlands. Yes! Where else have you come from? Indonesia! Well, I'd be impressed if I hadn't been from Singapore. So, no, it's a huge thank you to start, really. Obviously, to the Singapore Tourism Board, who really believed when this was just a really stupid idea. And it's wonderful to celebrate 200 years of history of our two little islands on either side of the world, which I have now driven between, I can say, which is quite a ridiculous thing to have done. I'd like to say thank you to all the other supporters that made this possible. I think some of them are here. We've got Land Rover, of course, O'Pier, AKE, they're all here. Clarico, Domestic, Revolut, Battleface, Fremont, Haggerty, Stephen Howard, Lonely Planet, NGA and Fortnum Mason. So thank you so much to all them for making this happen. Now, we have driven for 111 days, I think now. I got it wrong. 19,000 kilometres, 23 countries. And I'd just love to, first of all, introduce you to the bad people that did it with me, if you don't mind. I'd like to start with the man, the myth, the legend, Larry Leong from Singapore. Where are you, Larry? Come up here. Come up here. Now, I can tell you it's a long way from Singapore to London. This man has now completed the journey 3 times. So a huge round of applause to Larry Leong from Singapore. No co-drive. Did the whole thing by himself. Lunatic. All the way from the sunny climes of Indonesia, Dr. Silverius Perber, everybody. And if you think your Land Rover man, he owns 9 Land Rovers. Thank you very much. All the way from the tiny country of Belgium, Mr. Henry Becker, our sole lady on the trip. Get up here. She's put up with 7 blokes, 4 months. Now, my dear old friend and our expedition manager who's been responsible for getting us here safely, Mr. Marcus Allender, where are you? Hey! No, 1, 2. Now they're running around from Queens, New York. Mr. David Israeli down here with a camera. Interesting fact, David cannot drive a car. It's always hard to drive in Kyrgyzstan. He's doing okay. Got to fit here. Our resident Frenchman, Mr. Leopold Bellinger, down here. Thank you, sir. And then last but not least, from Southfields in London. He had absolutely what he was letting himself in for, but he stood in and he carried the flag for his grandfather, and he hasn't cut his hair since Singapore. Mr. Nat George!
Finally, Tim Slessor makes it up onto the stage, and we're very pleased to see him. Unfortunately, his voice is a little bit drowned out by the wind. Tim Slessor is now reunited with his grandson, Nat George, who did the trip in his place. It makes a very nice scene. And finally, the man of the moment is reunited with the old vehicle after more than 6 decades. He would never have imagined back then that such a scene would ever occur.